Hello everybody, I guess we're sort of making this a tradition now. Welcome to the 2023 AOC review. We did one last year and we're doing one again this year. But it's going to be a bit different this time because I was on AOC and I have a bit of a different perspective. Before we really get into it, let's talk about why I actually ran for AOC in the first place. Back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20 for a bit, Paladins was my favorite game of all time, ever, and at the start of 2021, they killed the esports scene and released Season 3, which had drastic changes to the game's design, which was awful. I hated it. The whole reason that I cared about AOC so much was that I saw it as a way to get the devs back on track to making the game that I loved, right? And AOC seemed to be able to have an impact on that. So when I saw the 2021 AOC being a bunch of bozos and floundering about at the start, I spoke up because it was a wasted opportunity in my eyes to change something that mattered to me. So I ran for AOC because I wanted to get the game back on track, and here's what I said I would do. Smaller things first, customizable customs. We got it to a point. I wasn't the first one to bring this up by any means, but it's there now and actively being worked on. Payload was not going to happen. Better map callouts I talked about, but I never really got an answer back. We did get better starting champs, and I don't think it got announced, but there's also 8 champs in free rotation instead of 4 now, so that's cool. And top play is the same as payload. Alright, so that's not awful, I guess. On to the bigger things, like the tutorial. And this serves a bit of a breakdown. The point of a tutorial in a multiplayer game is to get you playing, right? If the game threw everything at you, you would leave. New players don't want to have to learn everything to play the game, and they should not have to. They just want to get in and play the game, right? And the Paladins tutorial teaches you how to go in and shoot stuff, and that's all it really needs to do. If it talked about the item store and talents and loadouts and roles and like whatever, right? It would turn away new players, and this is not unique to Paladins. So the problem isn't the tutorial that we have, it's that there's no easily accessible intermediate tutorial. Once you get in and start shooting things, then the learning about the item store and talent and loadouts and roles and whatever, that's hard, and there are some things that pop up in the bottom left window if you're new, but that's it. It's not accessible, right? So the tutorial itself, right, is actually perfectly fine for bringing brand new players in. The problem is that the game doesn't exactly encourage turning new players into experienced players, and I think people see that and then blame the tutorial, but that's not really the tutorial's point. So what I think would be best would be a learning section in the main menu, right? Like Smite has. Smite has a learning section for this exact reason. A learning section in Paladins would be great for keeping those new players, right? And this all got brought up, but nothing happened. I just wanted to clear that up because I think the devs explained their perspective pretty well on this one, and it makes a lot of sense. So I just kind of want to shift the discussion to something that I think is a bit more accurate. Shorter draft time. So this also got brought up, also nothing happened. We did get a better mapped rank rotation, not perfect, but better. Fish Market, Ice Mines, and Timbermill are all gone, which is a lot better compared to earlier rotations when Bright Marsh was out of rotation for a few months for some reason. I'd still like to see changes. I don't want to have to play Bazaar or Frozen Guard ever again, but it is better. And here we get to the big one, balance. This is the reason that I joined AOC. Balance is what has the most impacts on my games, on my experience, and this is what I feel like I could help the most, right? What I could have the most impact on. We never discussed balance in a meeting. We talked about balance, but it was never discussed. There was never a back and forth. And without a discussion, what is the point between me putting in the work for AOC and just making this video that the devs are probably watching right now? Hi devs. Like, what's the difference though, right? Because balance is one of those things that lies somewhere between purely objective and purely subjective. And for those types of things, besides being really fun to discuss, discussing them is how you understand people, and understanding each other is how we reach the best outcomes, right? Teamwork makes the dream work, and we just didn't do that. Sometimes there would be discussions in the Discord server, like we would type stuff back and forth, but we didn't usually get much of a response from the devs. It was usually AOC talking between each other. So the value that I would bring to AOC as someone who knew the game somewhat well, I feel like I just didn't get a chance to be useful. Not saying some stuff didn't get changed, but I didn't really get a chance to bring Paladins back to a state I enjoyed. Or, I mean, even know why it was being taken away from that state in the first place, right? And because we're not in that older, better state pre-Season 3, I feel kind of weird judging how well the other AOC members did. Because they're not playing Paladins, they're playing Paladins too. In their world, for them, the changes that they suggested are genuinely the most important things. And to me, in the entire competitive community, these things are worthless, right? Paladins actually just solved Theseus' ship. Yes, it's a different ship, it's a different game. You change enough parts and it becomes a different game. So my review of this year's AOC is that it basically did not help the game at all. The game is still fundamentally different from the Paladins that I enjoyed. AOC helped me, I got a lot out of it, it was really fun, I learned a lot, and I really appreciate the time that devs put in. But I just don't think AOC is a good format for actually being impactful. Maybe it was in previous years, I don't know. I think if you're trying to get feedback from the community, you don't have to go through a bunch of popular players with newly inflated egos. You can just talk to the community or the community leaders that already exist. If you want balanced feedback from people who understand the game, go ask the Winter Cup people. If you want balanced feedback from the general community, go ask a streamer, hop and chat while they're streaming. It'll make you look good too, right? Whatever it is, if the purpose is purely to get feedback from the community, there are better, more efficient ways to do that than AOC. So where does this leave me? Well, I'm not going to do AOC again or any Evil Mojo community thing unless there's going to be discussion. There's no point, especially for the amount of time I put in. Like, I literally joined one meeting from my work's parking lot on lunch break once, but like if I was dead set on making a change happen, I would be more likely to get it in the game by making a video about it so I could get the community talking. So AOC was fun, it was great, but I've got better ways to spend my time, like making content on Twitch and YouTube, subscribe, or even making my own game. Wow. But if we were going to do a review of each AOC member, disregarding all that we talked about, let's do it. Infernal. Infernal is the Ben Shapiro of Paladins. She talked so much, and so much of it was the stupidest things. I don't think she understood the implications of her suggestions, which often bordered on changing the game instead of improving it. Her suggestions were often very work-intensive for the devs, and she didn't seem to understand the dev point of view when they did respond, since she'd come back the next meeting with similar suggestions. I think Infernal's value, almost, to the AOC was the amount of work that she put in. She made the document, she put in a lot of time. I just don't think that time resulted in anything that was particularly valuable to the devs for how much time got put into it. If Infernal was going to do this sort of AOC thing again, I would suggest trying to focus more on quality over quantity. Creepers. I have never seen such a large amount of unfounded confidence when it comes to balance. Creepers talked a lot, both in meetings and in the Discord, and I swear to God, this man has no concept of time. Creepers, if you run for AOC again, let me know, because I will buy you an egg timer so you don't go over 15 minutes in a meeting again. And for what it's worth, these two have the stupidest drama that I have ever heard, and it made for so many unnecessary, stupidly awkward conversations in the Discord. Big Mac, I thought Big Mac was a joke, like not in a bad way, like an actual practical joke played by the devs. Like, this man shows up out of nowhere to get the Switch rep spot, and like, look at his profile picture, and he's called Big Mac. This has gotta be a joke, but no, turns out he's just a chill dude who suggested fine stuff. I've got no problem with the guy. TC Mitch 31. First off, Mitch is the guy who replaced the GOAT of last year's AOC, Steriltic, who showed up for like a meeting, got Nam flashbacks, and then dipped, which sucked because he was great last year. Mitch is a great guy, and he is the poster child for a brand-friendly streamer. Like, marketing departments love this guy, but he's new, and I feel like new players aren't necessarily what you want on AOC, and I feel like his suggestions suffered for that. And for what it's worth, those are all the more casual people on AOC. I don't really have too much to say about their other suggestions, because I don't really care. It doesn't affect my experience of the game. Alive ARG. Alive was cool. He was kind of checked out. Like, I don't know why he ran for AOC again. He said his bit in previous years and didn't have as much to add this year. But what he has said and what he did say was great, right? He just didn't say as much this year. Zarini, I didn't really hear Zarini much. He just showed up to meetings when he wasn't sick, but he had good suggestions. He just wasn't here long. King Nick just kind of showed up to meetings. He said his balance things that would have been good for the game. And you know what? Let's do the devs too. Fishman, first of all, screw you for taking my name. I definitely had it first. Secondly, this man knows his game design and put in a ton of work for AOC stuff. I have nothing negative to say about him. He even gave me a new alarm. All I have to do is play him saying, and we'll look into balance as usual, and it instantly wakes me up by sending me into a blind rage. It's perfect for waking up in the morning. He also has the best working professional filter I have ever seen on anyone. I would pay a lot of money to know what this man actually thought of us. Thunderbrush, I don't even know if this guy showed up for a meeting. He was too busy drawing and getting my videos demonetized. But it was really funny to check the Discord and just see Paladin's art plans for the next decade in there. Romanova, Jewel, Nico, and Entmoot. Cool people, didn't talk much, all left at some point this year. Don't know what they're doing, but they're probably killing it. Kano, Meal, I don't know how to say that. What are these names, man? But UI go burr, and that's all I have to say. Good luck. Programmer, Kun? There's no way that's your actual IGN, but you were by far the single most fun person to interact with in the Discord. Feisty Jalapeno. Feisty does three things perfectly well. One is understanding how Paladins works, sort of. The second is permanently rating the exact same energy as this picture. And the third is dominating playtests. So good job, Feisty. Steve, I don't know what you sound like, but it was fun talking to you. He was definitely the most open to listening to us in the Discord. Strixus, if Strixus was not bound by the constraints of reality, they would single-handedly make Paladins the best game of all time. I've got no idea how to explain that sentence, but I am convinced it is true. Shaq is the coolest map fella. He has the worst timing when it comes to leaving meetings, though. I swear to God, he bailed on us like twice, both like 5 minutes before I talked about a map thing. Come on, man. Tron, I still don't know what the noodler is, and at this point, I'm afraid to ask. Radar, the Peanut Gallery, and to everyone I did not mention, I hope you guys enjoyed your monthly extended lunch breaks. And that's AOC 2023. It's done now. There's no more meetings except an announcement about something soon, maybe. I don't know. They took away my knowing things privileges, so I'm just going to keep making Paladins content probably, especially that video on Season 3, but I'm mostly going to be grinding Overwatch now, so I said I'd give AOC my all. I feel like I did, and I hope you guys thought I did well. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.